Prof, before we went on the short break, we were talking about a whole lot of issues that seem to be impeding forcing or pushing our children away from home to the bushes and the deserts and the seas of the Western world. I want us to look at it from the ethnic part of it, ethnic point. What I mean by that is Mr. Chuma is Igbo from Nigeria. Therefore, I am Zulu from Natal, South Africa. Therefore, him being amongst us is questionable. 1, 2, 3, 4. So even when one leaves home and settles amongst others that he sees as family, there are problems that are abound. At times when you look at them, you find out that most of those issues are also instigated by some unforeseen interested parties. Hence, we don't fully trust each other and embrace each other the way we should when we find ourselves in a particular space. Do you think I'm making sense here? Because when I say is it truly an ethnic thing, or is it something more sinister than that?
I would say peripherally, on one hand, the ethnic thing, it's there, right? Because some of it, what your tribe did to my tribe in the past, some people pass it from generation.
Wow.
Yeah, they pass it from generation to generation.
Wow,
and when they get into power, it's time for them to settle scores for revenge.
Wow.
So let's not ignore that in our SWOT analysis. So some part of the problem is historical. Just like I like to globalize things. Just like the Irish and the English, they don't get to pick, because the Irish were enslaved by the English.
Wow.
Yes. So.
Wow.
Yes, they were enslaved by the English and forced into the United Kingdom.
I thought it was only Americans.
Yes. So there's that historical baggage. That's why Northern Ireland wants to split away from
IRA.
Yes. So it's a human thing. You understand? So when we get into power, if we are still one country, we want to settle scores. So there's the historical aspect. And now what happens with the colonizers in this present day age? They look at every devious things to keep you divided.
Manipulation.
So for instance, if you are a capable Igbo and they can see you out, they've got very smart ways of approaching you. Sometimes they can. I'm just giving you a very hypothetical, quick example. You are not yet a leader. They make you very rich, or a group of Igbos, by giving a contract, and you supply, and your goods make you money. They go into the United States, or they go to England or wherever, and you make money as Igbo. Then you start moving into power. They make sure, and they build
they build a corridor for you.
This is part of intelligence. So let me share that with you. They build that over the years. They build that, and they make sure. Then you move into power, right? You're moving into power won't be easy, and finally the Igbos are in charge, are in power, and your group of Igbos, they made sure that it has made money. And when you get that, they have ways of inflaming this thing. Now I'm talking about outside interest you talk about. They don't directly have to say the Hausas, they don't like you. They'll say, hey, we've been doing good business, you and I, Chuma, and all that. Be very careful how you hand out your contracts.
Especially to these people.
Part of your leadership, your prime, very capable leadership, during when these people in power, they made sure you don't get contracts, do you see how they play the game? They knew, and they make sure you come into power. When you come into power, even when now houses want to get contracts, want to do this, you make sure you stop them. Because if you look at it superficially, but it's also true, they are a threat, and with what they did to you. Now what are you doing? You are settling scores. Yes. So they play the game in a very sophisticated way. Very, very convincing way. You have to be a true leader. One of the things I said on your radio station is that if you are a true leader, Pan-Africanist human being, you must love human beings. Because sometimes human beings, they will stab you in the back. Your own Pan-African brothers, they will sell you down the drain. But because you are enlightened to a certain degree, maybe better than them, you must be able to keep your eyes on the bigger picture and don't take some of the things personally. I'm not saying you won't be careful. You will be careful. You'll try and mitigate some of the associations, but you do not now let that cloud your global Pan-Africanism and where we are going for the future. It takes a certain mind, it takes a certain spirit to do that, because sometimes, and I don't blame some people, even in Africa it happens all over the world. Some African leaders, what they've done to some of our people, some African leaders, what, even from an ethnic point of view, when they were in power, they've murdered, they've put our people in shallow graves and all that. You know, so when you mention a certain ethnic group, I've seen it across Africa, I've traveled. When you mention a certain, they don't even want to hear. And you can't blame that person because their mother was raped in front of them, they were killed, and their village was burnt. And they just managed to survive, and they became a refugee, and they grew up in England. When they come to power, when you mention a certain tribal group, do you think they want to listen? It takes a certain spirit and certain mind to move beyond. So sometimes I'm saying, I do not blame people when certain governments can lock you up. You actually, they know you're fighting genuinely, but you are threatening their interests. You are threatening their interest and money, right? They lock you up and they do horrible things to you in jail. They can do the most horrible things. By the time you come out and all that, let's say you get into power, you have this memory bank of the... you understand?
A maddening desire for revenge.
For revenge. You want to get even.
Yeah.
So sometimes, because we are not the same, Mr. Chuma, we are not the same. Our threshold for humiliation, for pain is not the same. So sometimes when a certain youngster, when they were young, they saw their whole family of a certain soldiers belong to you, they came and wiped off their family. So when you tell them, and I can understand, they just think, Malusi, don't come and talk rubbish to me. Because they carry that anger and that pain. And
when they look back,
yes,
they have a power that is supporting them.
Thank you very much.
Urging them on.
Yeah. So sometimes...
To them, they are fearless now.
Where you, Mr. Chuma, when you manage, if you are one of those few God is endowed with the power, no matter what has been done to you, you are a Mandela or better than Mandela. Where when you are able... or like the biblical Jesus Christ, I just have to give that example. Remember when they crucified, what did he say? Father, forgive them,
for they know not what they're doing.
It's very exceptional to come across such characters, because people can be really horrible to you, and you want to get even. And let's not underestimate the emotion of wanting to get even, because some people argue that it's therapeutic, it heals. You know, when I get into power, I will show them. You know, and some of these things are historical. What was done to your tribe 300 years ago, when your tribe takes over? You saw what happened in Rwanda. I can give you examples.
Yeah.
You saw what happened in Zimbabwe. Shonas and Ndebeles. I can go on and on. The killings that were here in South Africa, in KZN. So Africa is littered with that, but I also globalize it, because I like to globalize, because people mustn't think it's just, as much as we're talking Africa, it's not just an African thing. Yes, I know for a fact the Scottish don't want to be part of what you call of United Kingdom. They don't. They will tell you we are not Englishmen and we don't want Englishmen running us. So it's a global thing.
Yes.
Yes.